Shamanic journey number 74 to the subject of empathy. And the subject of empathy and being an empath and the combination of all of those energies and all of those feelings combined in one is a pretty sensitive subject in terms of what people actually feel and how they define it. And from my perspective, empathy is the ability to emotionally understand what other people feel, and seeing things from another person's point of view, and like imagining yourself in their place. Sometimes this can be a difficult type of energy to be in, but essentially putting yourself in someone else's shoes and feeling what they're feeling is something that many empaths just are born with, or some may think that certain things in life may bring this on. But from my perspective, understanding the empathic nature, I think different factors obviously are contributing to being an empathetic individual. You know, some people are sympathetic. In other words, they go to a level, the surface level of understanding somebody. But going a little bit deeper in understanding requires a person to have that ability to be able to, first off, understand their own intrinsic empathetic nature towards themselves. The sensitivities that one experiences, whether it be sounds, whether it be seeing certain things that sensitize a person to somebody else's energy or to somebody else's experience. And so being empathic could be a nature versus nurture thing. But from my perspective, I think from my understanding that many times as children, people are born in the womb of environments where there's a higher level of cortisol, which is a higher level of stress. And that creates the nervous system to do certain things which make them more sensitive to the environment around it. That's one type of ideology that centers around that, obviously. But there are experiences in our lives, right, that people could have certain near-death experiences, or they can go through something like any type of stimulus from the external world that can change their neurological system, can create a more empathetic reaction towards the stimulus around us. So as an empath, or not labeling or taking on that energy, understanding, or as an empath itself, people want to know what the truth about a situation. They can feel what's going on, and they empathize with somebody. And many times what happens in relationships or in interactions with others is that many people are not in touch with the emotions or the experiences that they're actually having. But empaths can pick up on that. And it almost becomes like a very tense situation for a person who can feel what a person is experiencing, but the other person not verbalizing or communicating that. And I know for myself, as a child growing up, I grew up in that type of emotion or that type of situation where I knew what people were feeling, I knew what they were thinking, and not knowing how to express it, and not knowing if you're supposed to express it, and then saying things that actually are true, but nobody is verbalizing. And so that unspoken word of that unspoken energy that existed creates a lot of tension for an empath. And I think a lot of empaths need a timeout. They need a place to go where they can recuperate or rejuvenate themselves from those subtle energies that, again, are not communicated. I think once it's confirmed, or once a person confirms certain things, it's a lot easier. That's one aspect of empathic qualities. The other qualities are the ability, again, as I mentioned earlier, to be able to feel what somebody else is experiencing. And this is very helpful for somebody else if a person's able to properly communicate to the other person ways in which they can overcome or they can deal with certain setbacks in their lives. It becomes a handy tool. It may be overwhelming or burdensome to some people, right? The person who's experiencing it as the empath, but also the person who's receiving that. But it goes deep, and it becomes a helpful tool, I feel, to assist others. One of the negative attributes that becomes associated with the empath is the narcissist energy. And while many people look at the narcissist energy as a bullying energy and an overwhelming attack energy, it usually coincides with an empath. The empath is there at a young age or at a point in time when they don't understand that energy to try to help the things they see in the other person that the other person is not willing to deal with or understand. And so the empath goes through the relationship trying to bring the narcissist to get in touch with their feelings. In the interim, the narcissist is trying to use the empath's energy to understand how they are able to empathize and have compassion for other people when they're having a hard time expressing themselves and feeling the empathy that the other one is mirroring back. And so this type of relation takes place. I know I've been in it in the past, right, in my younger relationships, and I better understood myself and understand the qualities of when the empath energy is helpful, when it's helpful to be an empathic person, and when it's time to pull back and know your place and not step over the line. So what I'd like us to do today is to try to understand the empathy or the empathetic qualities that you have, and to see where it resonates in your life when you see the spirit animal. What you need to do to either try to understand other people, or how you can maintain the empathic qualities that you have, or to create a specific boundary that sets you in a place where you're helpful, but you know your place and you don't overstep and you don't get wounded in the process, or overtake or overfeel what somebody else is going through. Because that's generally what sometimes takes place. People overfeel for people because they're not feeling or expressing, as I said before. All right, so let's go on a journey and let's see what spirit animal comes our way, and let's see what the spirit animal's message is towards the subject of empathy for you. Remember, being open and receptive, not judging the information that comes through, but just hearing or seeing or feeling the visceral effects of the questions you ask, and just being present in the moment of surrender. All right, so let's take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Make sure you're in a place that you're comfortable with your eyes closed. If you can cover them, even better. And let's go on our journey. Sounds around us. The wind blowing the branches and the leaves rattling in the wind. The birds in the trees whistling. And the squirrels running by. Breath in as we walk, and we smell the fresh forest air. And as we continue on our path, we follow it in the direction towards the right. Closer to this path. And the sun is blocked out as we walk. around and see where you are. As you look straight ahead, you take a deep breath in. And behind you, you hear a noise. You turn around and you see a spirit animal. What animal do you see? You ask the spirit animal about the subject of empathy. And you listen for the answers and how it relates to you. and exhale. And thank the spirit animal for being in your presence and passing on the information. And now you head back. You look for the opening in the cave. And you wind your way through in the darkness. And you find yourself out on the other side, back on the original path. And as you walk on that path, you take a deep breath in. You turn back onto the original path. And as you walk to the left, to the right, is a pine tree. Tall pine tree, and you stand in front of it and you put your arms around it and you exchange energy with the tree. As it absorbs your positive ions and grounds you. Look at the tree and thank it. And you release your hands and walk out of the forest. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Move your fingers, move your toes, shrug your shoulders. Take a breath in. And when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into the room. Okay, that was Shamanic Journey number 74 to empathy. And as we were drumming, I thought of something interesting in terms of, the people who are empathetic, who are empaths, who are not in touch with their own wounds or their own inner child or the darker shadows of themselves. It's difficult for us to look with empathy towards others without rescuing them. When we work on our own self and we learn how not to no longer victimize ourselves, but to use our empathy as a skill of better understanding ourselves, to have self-compassion, to open our own heart, then what we could do is we could understand and show other people the path that could lead them towards their own self-fulfillment, their own path of finding self-love for themselves. And we can do that as an empath by being empathetic, by leading the way and allowing and showing them the light, to show them how darkness can be turned or can be turned into something powerful and strong, and how our suffering, our darkness, again, is the light, and how that really can push us forward. So being empathetic or having empathic skills or nature, having an empathic nature is a benefit. Once we learn how to control our own emotions and learn how to deal with our own self, and then it becomes a tool to assist others. Okay, I want to thank you for joining me today, and hopefully you were able to receive information from your spirit animal. And don't be impatient. Find your way through opening yourself up and trusting the information that you receive. Right? A lot of times people question what they receive, and there's no reason to question. It's realer than real, the information that comes through from the spirit realm. Okay, have a great evening. Thank you for joining me.